So there's this emails I get on a daily basis called Just for Today. And so we learn about addiction is about using, and recovery is about changing, growing, right? Learning. So they send out an email every day with a different theme. And so some of the themes in this addiction side of it is to not believe in dreams coming true or even trying, to have low self-esteem, to not trust people, to be self-centered, to never take responsibility, to avoid desperation, to have no safety net or reserves and no inner growth, to think that looking good is enough, to be unwilling to ask for help when you need it, to not act humble, to have one-track obsession, to need instant gratification and to have a lack of patience, to be crippled by fear and uncertainty, to not let others comfort or encourage us, to have negative attitude, to have black and white thinking, to take all the credit and not have a higher power, to not see God in other people, to be unable to hear the message, not the messenger. We can't say a genuine sorry and make amends, to be closed-minded about conscious contact, conscious contact, which is communion, spirit, guidance, like meditation, praying, chanting, going into nature, to be unable to handle conflicts or disagreements, difference of opinion properly, either to learn how to back away when need to calm down and reflect and then resolve and discuss it rather than run away or attack. Could be anything from take a deep breath to say a prayer, to apply the principles of forgiveness and honesty and trust and openness and responsibility, etc. To be unable to handle silence or stillness, which is quiet time, to not feel free to be ourselves, to not be able to really listen to others regardless of their suffering, their background, their spirituality and recovery, to not be able to share experiences, strength, and hope with others, to not be able to have regularity, routine in managing everyday affairs, to have masks of phony images to fool people, to hide and to cover low self-esteem, to have oversensitivity, insecurity, lack of identity, to have fear of inadequacy and rejection, to have lack of direction, to have constructed false self-images and personalities to protect ourselves and or please others, to live a lie and say we cannot live with the truth about ourselves. The more we hide our real self, the more we damage our self-esteem. In recovery, we recognize ourselves complete with assets and liabilities, that we can't let go of disguises and trust ourselves, that we want and demand that things always go our way, that we think not just for myself, that we think not just for ourselves, but only of ourselves, and forget that we're but part of a world, and all our strength comes from our higher power. When we imagine that others exist solely to do our bidding, and we find ourselves at odds with everyone around us and everything, when we make unreasonable demands and become frustrated because the planet doesn't spin our way, versus surrendering, relaxing, seeking knowledge of God's will and the power to carry it out, to find our way back to the condition of world peace and the spark of life and spirit barely alive, versus when there's a love of fellowship and recovery that fans that spark into a flame, and with the 12 steps we blossom into that whole vital human being that our higher power intended us to be, and we begin to enjoy life and find purpose in our existence, and our relationship with God grows and the spirit gets stronger when we choose life. When anything goes wrong, we might want to use, even though life in recovery is rewarding, and the loss of the carefully nurtured spirituality by snuffing out the flame would dishonor how far along we've traveled, and will weaken and dishonor the spirit that is too high a price to pay to get high. It's too high a price to pay to get high. So thinking we know anything there is to know is another way that we might want to look at it. It's conceit and complacency, and that makes life become unmanageable. Or when we forget that even in recovery we need guidance, support, and power beyond our own. We reach out to a newcomer, we call our sponsor, we pray, we go to a meeting. When a person's unable to, calling sponsor is like your mentor. Okay, when someone's unable to admit powerlessness and thinks they have to solve the puzzle of addiction all alone, versus recognizing the good company and wealth of experience from other recovering addicts. And the foundation affects everything, be it using or recovering. When we improve our quality of life at work and school, and whether it's earning, which is work, and learning, which is school, and new relationships, that brings excitement and mutual support. It's a daily commitment to priorities, a resolved past and a solid foundation to build the future, and a diligent step work is not enough, because we will see, hopefully not fatally, that addiction is patient, subtle, progressive, and incurable, and we need to have a vital ongoing program in order to be a step ahead of our disease, by including by doing service and staying alert for opportunities to practice our program. When we try to be a big fish in a little pond with a controlling attitude versus being in a group conscience instead of only our own individual beliefs and desires, and when we follow the group conscience guidance and strive to see all the sides of the collective have equal merit, so the discussion can come together to carry a unified message. We examine ourselves and our motives. We don't give in to the temptation that we know what's best for the group and not feel like the world will end if we don't get our way. When we leave that wake of destruction and harmed anyone who got in our way, when we hurt those we love the most, and then in order to purge our guilt, we may be tempted to share in gruesome details with loved ones that shouldn't be said and do more harm than good. In recovery, amends are not about easing a guilty conscience, but taking responsibility for our wrongs that we've done. And we amend the wrongs in a way that we don't owe more amends. We seek freedom from defects, not remorse, because we never want to inflict that harm again. And the other thing I want to share is from mindwire.og on Instagram. So it's MINDWIRE on Instagram. So how do you become impossible to manipulate? You have personal sovereignty. You're the architect of your own peace. You build a fortress and protect your mind. Manipulation only works when you're emotionally unanchored. When you anchor yourself, the game stops working. Transition from target to fortress. When mental framework shifts, the manipulator has no control. I'll say it again. You transition from target to fortress when you have a mental framework that shifts. The manipulator has no control. 1, no more over-explaining. State decisions as facts, not negotiation, not needing approval, refusing to justify, you deny them leverage. 2, analyze the raw data, which is real actions, versus believing all their promises. Words are a cheap currency used by predators to buy time. 3, immune to ghosting. No longer fear losing the connection, comfortable in letting them walk away. The fear of abandonment is a manipulator's favorite lever, and once the lever breaks, they have no power. 4, acceptance of being the villain, the bad guy in their twisted narrative. Let them hate you. Indifference is a shield against their weapon of guilt they use to try to command you. 5, stop hunting for external validation. No more dopamine anchor of you're the best, you're amazing. Compliments don't inflate you, because if praise can be a trap and manipulate your mood, then insults can also control your direction. So you anchor your self-worth by your own standards. Number 6, pace interruption. Deliberately delay response time and refuse to react to artificial urgency. Manipulators create panic to bypass your logic. Time delay allows your intelligence to take back control. And 7, cold radical neutrality. When they stage a radical explosion, you show zero emotion, because drama needs a counter reaction to survive. So refuse the fuel and the fire burns out on its own. We'll stop here. I wish you all the best. Bye.